Hello my friends, today we're going to be doing a training vlog where I do some squats, some benching, give you guys some tips throughout the lifts that rhymed. Tip number one, rub this all over your body besides the tip of your pee-pee, and then you must wear these sandals if you want to squat 600 pounds. Facts. So join me, let's go. All right, so if you want the strength of 1,000 lions, earth-fed muscle, stampede, blend it up, chug it, it's absolutely delicious. It tastes just like lemonade, the piss that you want to drink. Alright, so question I get all the time is, how do I warm up for my sessions? And honestly, there's no right or wrong way to warm up. If you want to take more time and do some basic stretches like I'll do because I have more time, awesome. If I don't have time, I literally just get right under the barbell, start really low, just with the barbell only. I'll do, sets of 10, whatever, add a little bit of weight until I get to my working sets. But you don't need to waste a ton of time with a foam roller. If you feel good and you like it, sweet, do it. If not, the barbell works just fine. And that's typically depending on the time that I have. And that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna warm up just a little bit and then get right into the squat action. Typically when I squat, I'm gonna squat in position weightlifting shoes. They have a 2-inch heel. I've made a video on these before. Really like them, especially for squatting. So if you want to invest in a nice pair of shoes, that's the way to go. So we're gonna do high bar today. Reason I'm doing high bar is because my elbows are bothering me pretty bad. Just from overuse, I got some pretty gnarly elbow tendonitis, and I do a lot of jiu-jitsu now, so a lot of the grip work kind of stresses the elbows. So when I do high bar, it takes a lot of pressure off of that, lets it heal, recover a little bit, and I can also still squat. So preferably, I'd like to be doing low bar because I'm in a strength block now, but high bar is what it's gotta be. We're gonna do 6 at 6, 6 at 7, 6 at 8. We're gonna take off 10% of that. We're gonna do 2 back off sets of 6 reps. So that's what's on tap. And right now I'm using the mat chan bar. It's gonna have a little bit more whip to it because for some reason whenever I do high bar, I like to have a little bit of whip. Can't take that Olympic lifter out of me completely. And we're gonna move on and proceed. All right, since it's a competition squat day, that means belt goes on, okay? Helps me push a little harder. Manages fatigue because on the second squat day, no belt, so I can't go as heavy, and it's gonna help with auto regulation for stress. So comp squat, belt is on, we're gonna work up, get out. One of the biggest things I see, and it's a super minor detail, but it has a big carryover to how your squat's gonna go, is simply unracking the bar from the rack. Now, typically, what I see is that people aren't in a secure position when they lift it up off the rack, so meaning that their feet are planted, weight is evenly distributed in their feet. Sometimes they're too in their toes or in their heels, and right away when they take it off, they're either pitched forward or they're leaning too far back, and it makes the unracking process kind of tricky, and maybe they stumble a little bit, which God forbid somebody could get injured doing that. So you really got to be careful when you're doing this and making sure that you have all the tension built up, big belly breath, driving the bar straight up, then secure it, and then take a couple steps back into your basic setup. So I've done videos about this before, which I'll link up right here, but unracking is kind of the way that you set up the tone for the squat. So don't take it gently, don't be timid about it, be assertive with how you unrack the bar, get calm, cool, and collected in your head, and make sure you make the right steps proper in that part of the lift. All right, so just to piggyback another tip off the unrack and while you're squatting, got this from Brian Alter. The force you want to give the bar when you're squatting and taking off the rack is going to be forward force, keeping everything really tight. So sometimes the bar will slide down or roll up. So if we pin it where we need to be high bar or low bar, and think about forcing the bar like this, it's going to keep you real tight in that bar in place. So give that a shot, and hopefully it helps your squat setup. All right, so even though I'm close grip benching, we're gonna still keep the squat theme going here. So during a strength block, keep my reps between the 4 to 6 rep range, and frequency of my squat is gonna be 3 days a week. So day 1 is gonna be calm squat. Right now it's high bar. Day 2, variation of the squat, it's gonna be either a box, a pin, or maybe an SSB squat of some sort, with maybe some bands or a little bit of outside tension. And then day 3 is gonna be more of a volume-based variation. So like a tempo squat is probably what I'm gonna throw in. That'll be on the 4th day of my training. I'm benching 3 days a week right now. First day will just be actually a regular touch and go bench press. Trying to go a little bit wider just to give some distinct difference between that and the close grip. But I'm not a power lifter, and if you are a power lifter, your comp bench would be how you would have to compete, which is usually going to be that 1 second pause to show control on the chest. Then the variation could be close grip, tempo, whatever you want. But for me, it's going to be a little bit wider on day 1. Day 2, it's going to be close grip. And then I like to do an overload on day 3. So that's either going to be a slingshot or some sort of a like block press, so I can overload it a little bit more and for a little bit higher volume. But that's kind of my thoughts right now with the bench press. I'm naturally way stronger with close grip, and for strongman it actually helps carry over, I think, more for overhead because it's developing some strong tricep strength, which is going to come in crucial for any pressing we do in strongman. If you guys listened to the last podcast that we had out with the coaches talking about advice we would give ourselves, I just kind of want to rehash a point that we talked about with accessory work. And I used to waste so much time by putting in so many reps for little accessory exercises and movements that actually didn't end up really helping my main lift. So the main thing you want to focus on is if you want to get better at benching, you bench more. If you want to get better at squatting, you squat more. And you want to make sure that those variations closely mimic the main movement that you want to get better at. So when it comes to specificity, if you're trying to increase your squat, but you're constantly doing lunges and you're doing clamshells with your legs and you're doing like abductor and adductor movements or machines, that's not going to have so much carryover to you getting better at your squat. Now, there can be a time and place for all these things depending on where you are with your training and what is the end goal. But if the end goal is to squat, bench, deadlift, or overhead press better, you need to be doing the squat, bench, deadlift, and overhead press and the closer variations mimicking that. So whatever the goal is, get better at that by doing more of that and the closest variations.